Yo, it is 2022, which is pretty freaking wild, but we're back. It's a new year. Inside Star Citizen starting back up. A little bit late, but we'll give him a break. This is going to be a little bit different than it has been. Instead of just being sort of a watch and react kind of thing, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in terms of whatever context I know. So it might be a little longer, but then I'll do something a little shorter as a video the next week. So if you're not into that, you don't got to watch this. But if you like watching me watch things for some reason, well, here we go.
We figured we had some cool crash sites already in the game. We wanted to bring a sense of wonder and some...
Okay, so the first thing that I'm always wondering with these crashes is like, how did the ship crash? Because they used to talk about how they wanted to create stories for them and how they crashed and stuff, but sometimes I see the ship set up and I'm like, there's literally no trail leading up to it. What happened here, you know? I hope we get a little more of that detail as they build out these derelict models more often. Derelicts are also things they've been working on for a long time. This is just kind of like the tier 1 launch of it, I think. Or the tier 2 launch, maybe.
mystery. And make the players want to explore, like, oh, what's on the other side of this derelict?
Probably more derelict stuff.
In 3.16, we're adding a whole new series of Caterpillar crash sites with exciting new puzzles and awesome environments to explore. The dangers that the players are going to encounter in the new Caterpillar crash sites are the laser trip mines. There's a sense of some people have already been there and have rigged the crash sites. Players will have to get really clever to find new ways to approach the caterpillars or find ways to deactivate them.
I literally just threw a grenade.
Along with increased danger comes increased rewards. So we really wanted to make use of the new loot system and give a reason to the players to explore these locations.
So something that bugs me about not only the derelicts but these loot systems is that we haven't gotten the FPS upgrade, the scanning upgrades yet. So it's hard to find this stuff without just looking around with a flashlight to find it, which kind of, that means they have to be more easy about it. It takes away from some of the depth of this. So I'm really hoping that, I wish that they had gotten that feature in before the derelicts came in so they could make the derelicts with that in mind, but I am hoping that they go back to this and start to build in more things that are going to require us to use that scanning. Same goes for, like I was saying, the ships. You can't scan and find the ships on the ground, so it's hard to find these derelicts.
Now that we produced those Caterpillar derelicts
Ooh,
for
okay.
316, that
I could have
was
just waited.
the tip of the iceberg. We had this long-term vision of a systemic, persistent kind of derelicts that can go on through the universe. We start looking at what the future could look like in the next few patches.
In the next few patches? See, I hate it when they show me rappelling stuff in this game, because I'm like, yes, please.
We wanted to introduce the spaceship derelicts into different biomes across the universe.
That has some Star Wars vibes to it.
We started with
Star Wars didn't make up crashed ships on a desert planet, so,
the Reclaimer and place it in a Nordic field.
Oh. Please, a Reclaimer derelict, please.
And we explore a corroded version of it, where you start to see the inner structure, but with some plating on top.
So this concept art, if you look back, is similar to something we got back in 2017. So while this is cool and it's great, it looks awesome, and we're at a time where it's more realistic that they'll actually make this soon compared to where they were in 2017, I'm still going to temper all of our expectations, really. Those little towns and settlements all around the derelicts and stuff like that. Grain of salt. Big old grain of salt.
The spaceship is there for like 20 years and more, and just getting rusty. We have a moon crash site. There's no atmosphere, and it's pretty dry, and it's not like terrestrial.
What is that?
That was pretty awesome to work on.
What is that structure? Is that
The
a
spaceship and it's not like
Oh, that
terrestrial,
looks Javelin.
and that was pretty awesome to work on.
Yeah, it's the Javelin.
This spaceship was crashed into a forest. We wanted to explore the avenue of having those trees just really close to the spaceship and also having overgrown vegetation on it. We wanted to feel that spaceship is there for many years and the nature is just taking over.
It looks
And
fantastic.
The next is a communication crash. This spaceship is crashed on the top of a mountain. Those guys, they're just establishing a communication base where they are at the highest point and they can emit a transmission from there.
See, there we go. It's kind of like what I was talking about. Besides the whole come up with a story for the crash, there's also the, like, come up with a reason for that crash to be there. Like, you know, on top of the mountain, comms satellite thing. Down in a ditch, maybe they freaking, I don't know, dig.
I had the idea to make this spaceship like crashed, and it's a swampy biome. So the guys just building those towers to get above and to not be dependent of the tide.
I mean, it's awesome
adding,
art.
Like, a lot of verticality in this, and it's pretty cool.
I would have loved to have seen some more in-game assets, though. I mean, I know, you know, we just got this first new rendition of Derelict, so obviously there's not a lot else there is there, but I would love to see updated versions of the stuff they showed us in older videos.
We all grew up with the same kind of images. You can imagine where, how, why they crashed there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Was it hostile or not? Was it coming out from a fight? And then to imagine the second and the third life of them, it's captivating. It captures something like on an emotional level. As we are always looking on Reddit and reading all your feedback, we can't wait to see what you guys will think about those as we produce them.
Sure, it'll be all positive and great.
Like it as much as we like producing them.
Part of me is incredibly excited for this, really. These derelicts are something we've been looking at and talking about for years, much like a lot of the features we're starting to get. But I don't think we're at the point yet where I can see concept art and be confident that that's going to be something in the game fairly soon, or even pretty, you know, accurate to what they're showing us. It's been a little while since we've gotten a location that had concept art to go with it, since I guess Orison was last year. And that was pretty similar, but the Orison concept art was sitting around for years. So I'm having like mixed feelings about this. It does all look good though. I'm excited to see what happens with it.
Derelicts are a terrific way to explore visual storytelling in Star Citizen, and not only make the persistent universe feel more alive and lived in, but provide artists and designers alike opportunities to update and change what would otherwise be a...
Jared, you're looking a little jet lagged, my man. Nah, I'm kidding. You look great, dude. Happy 2022.
...static location into a dynamic and potentially dangerous experience for anyone that enters. But we're not done, because what would Inside Star Citizen be without a sprint report?
Here's the good
Outside,
stuff.
like the overtime rules in professional football. Let's get to it.
This is where we
Let's
get the
start
in-game
things off
stuff.
with some of the continuing work for hospitals and the recent work in progress of Maria Pure of Heart, soon to be found on Hurston in the upcoming Alpha 317.
Oh, that looks good.
While functionality will be similar to hospitals currently in the burst, you can see here the Hurston family-specific touches that will help you immediately know where you are when you wake up.
The lore they built into this game.
Hospital already feels like an extension of the CBD players are familiar with.
Yeah.
Work is also underway on Mercy Hospital for the once and future Levski, with gray box progress on the lobby, including nurse station, elevators, insurance and pharmacy booths, and more.
Now, I know some of you are going to be saying, hey, they're working on the Nyx hospital. That probably means Nyx is right around the corner with Pyro, right? I wouldn't take that to mean that necessarily. It could just be the case that they've got the Montreal team working through hospitals, and they're looking at all the hospitals they're going to have for the next like year and a half. And they're saying we might as well get done with Mercy right now. Because I think Nyx is going to come next year. I don't think it'll come with Pyro. They might just be getting ahead right now, but I could be wrong.
Let's switch gears now over to mining gadgets, which the EU-PU team has now successfully completed the full loop for, and is just tweaking and bug fixing ahead of its release in the upcoming Alpha 3.17.
Cool.
It starts simply with buying a mining gadget at any shop that carries it and bringing it back to your ship to place in its...
Are you serious? Resistance minus 75%? Jeez. Okay.
Local inventory. In this case, our prospector. Now take off, find yourself a mining deposit, and scan it like normal. Here, we found a node with an instability of 0.91, which doesn't usually make for a great mining experience. Also, keep an eye on that 0.18 resistance. We'll come back to that later. Next, we're going to pull our mining gadget out of the ship's local inventory and equip it into our personal, because it's time to go out and land on the rock like inventory and equip it into our personal, because it's time to go out and land on the rock like we're Bruce Willis and Armageddon.
I wonder how easily they can add new attachment slots like that. I don't think that was a slot before.
Or Ben Affleck. Or in my case, the crazy Russian. Once we get there, we're going to place our device, in this case an Okunus model specifically designed to reduce instability, and then adjust our waveform accuracy to at least 90% before we activate and leave. Then, when we return to the ship and recheck our scanning results, we can see our instability has now been cut down to 0.54, while our resistance has bumped up to a 0.28. Yeah, everything's got a price. It's at this point that you can mine, break apart, and collect like usual, and in many cases, even recollect your mining gadget to be used again in the future. It's a fun new wrinkle that's ready to go for Alpha 3.17 at the end of this quarter.
I think, so this is going to take some testing, and I like that it builds out the mining gameplay more, but it doesn't really feel like it's doing it enough to push the profession forward. This feels like a polished kind of feature. Like the kind of feature I'd expect them to come back to this after they figured out more of the stuff surrounding the actual minables. But this might be all they can do right now until something else comes online. There's no real knowing for us. I do wish that they would talk a little more about what their plans are for single person mining, because while this is cool, getting out of your ship, doing this, having somebody else standing by to, take part in a secondary role, it still is doing the same things the other consumables were doing. So, looking forward to testing it in game. We'll hold judgment till then.
Meanwhile, the vehicle experience team has been experimenting in the world of maybe kinda can we do this, with testing the viability and operability of cluster missiles, as you can see here.
Cluster missiles?
As well as cluster bombs, where one breaks apart into many, and as you can see here, because of the systemic nature underlying every aspect of Star Citizen, the explosion of one ends up knocking subsequent drops off their targets.
What?
It's safe to say more testing and prototyping will be needed before the team...
Keep in mind, I just muted myself. Keep in mind, this is literally, they do this for so many features, and so people will be like, why are these features taking so long? A lot of times they're just R&Ding this stuff. This is why we're still in alpha, because they're not simplifying the bombs that they've dropped. They're figuring out how to split them up into more. Do we need it at this moment, at this time? Absolutely not. But it's here.
The team considers adding such munitions to the persistent universe proper. Let's go ahead and move inside where it's safer and take a look at recent work on the Drake Vulture, seen here in its final art pass. As a single-player salvage vehicle from Drake Interplanetary, the interior is expectedly sparse and utilitarian, with the bridge seen here, the habitation area,
This ship looks almost just like the concept art. I mean, what little we have. Jared, I need labels. What am I looking at? He only said the habitation area. Where am I?
And the processing area.
Thank you. I always wonder when they put stuff like this in game, the first ship doing salvage, is that a standardized thing that they're going to have? Is this specialized to the Vulture? Should we expect to see more things like this? Like, very, very interested in seeing how this section builds into the gameplay of the ship.
Oh, I almost forgot. Sorry, everyone. Here's the bathroom, too.
What is that?
Ooh, is that soundproofing?
That literally looks like you could just get your pubes caught in a gear. Get out of here. Drake.
We've also got this look at continuing gray box progress on the RSI Scorpius, where one sprint was for completing the main body and carving out space for all the components, weapons, lockers, and more, because there's a lot to pack into a ship of this size. And then another sprint where it's a bit further along the gray box phase.
I love the look of this ship. Oh my gosh. Look at that. I hope you can fly it like that, collapsed. It's my favorite small ship, I think, besides maybe the Terrapin.
Let's not forget the real hotness, its wings fully extended.
And also, it does look really freaking good like that.
Work also continues on the Hull A as the team focuses on finalizing more intricate details of the extending and retracting cargo grid in the middle.
Tell us about the tech,
and
Jared.
The engine assembly at the rear.
Does the tech work? Oh wow, that's a small engine. Hull A is such a small ship.
And then the Banu Merchantman continues its early white box explorations for its massive interior, including the engineering section, which should have lots of nice movement to it when it's all said and done. As well as a small brig that's currently located towards the front of the ship that will continue to evolve with more of its trademark Banu curves as white box phase continues. And before we leave ships this week, as some folks may have guessed from a recent newsletter sneak peek, the Drake Corsair has begun its journey through the ship pipeline with this look at early white box progress for its exterior, and we're going to continue to follow along with its progress as this most recent creation by the legendary Jim Martin goes from concept to reality throughout this year.
The best thing Drake has to offer.
Now, it's been a while since we checked in on the universe's gas cloud tech, and the environment teams recently completed a sprint exploring some Lagrange point looks for the various planets of the upcoming Pyro system.
Look a little more wispy.
Star system, planetary area, and planet itself is designed with a specific color palette in mind at the earliest parts of the process. And some of the coloring you see here may and will change as the lighting passes begin.
Oh my gosh.
Additionally, the wrecks you see here are all currently placeholder, as the call has gone out to create more dynamic and in some cases more recognizable debris for the players to explore.
I like dynamic debris.
Yeah, we're on the road to Pyro this year, and you can expect to see lots more as 2022 progresses. And before we let you go, the teams are following up on the concepts you saw at CitizenCon for Outlaw space stations, and moving through White Box phase, designing the variety of them you will encounter scattered throughout the Pyro system, including some areas that share some assets with the colonialism outposts found planetside, and trailing wires throughout while keeping the possibility of AI traversal in mind.
How are there that many wires in a room? Jeez.
You know, some poor engineer is gonna get caught up in here the wrong way, and that's how you get Vera at the end of Superman. That was a joke for about 16 of you.
Yeah, I didn't get that one. Sorry.
This kind of looks like Hassan's office a bit. That was just a joke for Ian Leland.
I was like, who's Hassan?
Here's some video follow-up of the continuing white box progress of an exterior combined with the spacescaping you saw before.
They're actually doing those like freight yards outside these stations. I'm really wondering how they're going to factor that in to the lore, because It really seems like they're expanding the population of this system. Everything that we're seeing from Pyro, though, wow, art-wise, it's just... I mean, this is literally, we were seeing concepts of this a couple months ago. I'm guarantee people did not think that this stuff would be anywhere near close to in-game within a year of that event. Now, this is still white box, but it's better than they used to do.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the new Derelicts in 3.16.1 are just the next step in a massive new journey towards a more vibrant and dynamic set of historical collisions for players to discover and explore in the future.
Got a lot of steps.
That the vehicle experience team are gonna give the VFX team some high blood pressure as they continue to explore the possibilities cluster weapons bring to the persistent universe. That the Drake Corsair is coming. And that Pyro continues to let our artists explore the far reaches of color and general disorderliness. Now don't forget that Xenothreat is returning once again to the stand system. Be sure you check out the website and social media for all the details. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you all next week.
All right, I made sure to stay until the end, make sure we didn't miss any jokes. I gotta say, this is a cool episode. It's a lot of art. There is a lot of art stuff coming this year. I imagine they probably didn't get too much tech and feature stuff done over the holiday. So, you know, for a first episode, not bad. It's fairly long. Actually, it was really long. Yeah, 15 minutes. Most of it was gameplay, or at least game-related footage, not a lot of talking. I would have liked to have seen some kind of a preview of Salvage that they talked about in the monthly report, but it's fine. We'll probably see it in the next month or two. Probably more next quarter, actually. I am pretty disappointed we didn't get a roadmap update this week. That was kind of we were expecting that, and then it didn't happen, which sucked, but we'll get that next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. So that's about it. It looks like my video feed is frozen, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and we'll just pretend that never happened. See you guys later.